So, what do you call a man who refuses to fart in public?
Tom.
No, I said refuses. A private tutor.
So, I'll give you a short story here.
Uh-oh.
Does it have anything to do with the pizza David just ate?
No,
man,
kind of. So I'm like a defensive farter, and
You use it as
I weaponize it.
Okay.
like to get people away from you?
Kinda. So
Or
there
to
was
do
a
it on purpose.
I can.
there was a manager that I used to have, and like every morning I would go and get the mail for work, and then like anything that would need that she would need, I would just go into her office and set the mail on her desk. And every morning when I set the mail on her desk, I farted in her office.
To show dominance.
and, and one day, like, I don't know what I had eaten, but it stuck in there. It was like
my essence.
it was like a pubic hair and a cheese sandwich. Like it was stuck.
Sounds like burnt hair and Indian food.
Yeah. And she comes out and was completely convinced something was wrong with the air conditioner. And I was like, you know what? You're probably right.
Reminds me of that bit in The Office where Todd Packer left the surprise for Michael Scott on his office floor.
That's pretty much what I did. Yeah. But this woman also, she told me that I wasn't allowed to have my cell phone on during work hours. And I told her that wasn't going to happen. Like, I'm going to leave it on because in case something happens to my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She's like, well, give the daycare my number. And if they need you, they can call me.
Yeah, no.
I was like,
No.
bulls.
Mm-hmm.
Bull
Yeah.
honky.
Yeah. She got an earful that day.
I don't trust you to run a store, let alone receive a phone call about the well-being of my daughter and then relay that message to me.
Considering
So-
that half the time she was never in office, like most of the time she was working from home. Yeah, that wasn't gonna happen.
Well, that's even worse.
How would she know then? She's just putting you in the honor system.
She's probably got little
I don't know.
snitches.
I'm gonna penalize you,
Well-
but you're gonna have to tell me if you go again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
David,
Yeah.
you know what snitches get?
Stitches.
Andy?
Snitches.
Cement boots.
Yep.
All right.
That's
So,
where we are
everyone.
today.
Worst transition ever.
What a wild start to this episode.
Welcome to As Dad as It Gets, the podcast where we fart on people and then drown them in the lake.
But we always admit it.
Yeah.
Yes.
That
We're
was
honest,
me.
especially after our last episode, which was the white lies. We're completely honest.
Oh,
But-
I just like taking credit for it.
Mhm.
I'm your host. I am your host, Larry Two Shoes. I don't know
Larry
what
Two
my
Why
that's
what's with the two shoes?
that's my gangster name.
That sounds
right.
about as gangster as you are.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to give us gangster names now. You started
Okay.
this.
So with me today is
Why did you
Tom
do
the
this?
Hat, David the bald guy, and John.
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 I panicked.
You're just naming things you see.
Brick, are you just looking at things and saying?
I love lamb.
I love lamb.
Are you even wearing shoes right now?
Hang on.
He's not
You have
sure.
to check. You have
He's
to
not
check.
My
Oh.
red Crocs.
No.
Yeah. I'm wearing Crocs too.
Are they red?
No.
Oh,
Oh, but they've got bandit on them.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
And they match your shirt exactly.
Yes, they do.
My wife hates my Crocs.
I don't blame her.
My wife
Shut your-
hated them until she wore them one time.
Yeah,
She's
I
like,
tell her.
these are fantastic.
I tell her
That's-
she's just mad because she's uncomfortable.
That's what Meredith was saying. She's like, no.
So you're saying that your wife hated your
Yep.
Crocs until she tried it.
And then
That's
she's like,
joke.
these are
I
fan-
can't
now we
make
all
like
have
half
one.
the jokes I want to right now. Meredith was telling me like, oh no, like you just here try mine on, and I tried hers on. I was like, yeah, it's nothing. All of my shoes are more comfortable than this.
no. It's like walking on a
Mm.
cloud.
Yeah.
A cloud of farts.
But you have
It's
to
like
get the
walking
right
on a
ones
cloud
on
of
photos.
farts.
Get off this podcast right now.
You're a cloud of farts.
You are the weakest link. Goodbye.
Uh,
No, I understand his resistance against it because the one pair I tried, I was told was like the worst model.
There's different
of Crocs.
models.
I said
I
there's more
just
than one
haven't.
model.
Oh yeah,
I don't
This
know
is,
Crocs,
uh,
but fuzzy Crocs.
there's ones for indoors.
I just
there's
thought it
ones
was the
for
same
outdoors,
one, and you
for
can go
hiking,
sport
for
mode or
going to the
casual
pool.
mode.
oh no, Crocs has like high heels and
Yeah,
stuff like
that's
that.
fun.
I've seen like the
Yeah.
UGG boot ones where they're like furry, and that's even more gross to me than normal Crocs that people let their bare, sweaty feet in, and then it just sits there and gets gross and moldy and smelly. It's like, hey, let me put stinky feet on my stinky feet.
I'm just letting him dig his own grave.
This is why he thinks that dinosaurs are crocodiles, or crocodiles are dinosaurs.
Mm. Look, I've got like 2 hours I could go off on about that.
You have
Yeah,
turtles and
it's the same
sharks
with
too.
turtles, right?
Turtles,
Oh God,
sharks,
no,
alligators.
Yeah,
no!
there we go.
Alligators and Crocs are the same thing, anyways. So
Yeah,
Oh my God.
they're like
Oh my
identical.
God.
yeah.
Are you trying to give me a stress headache?
I'm trying to make your nose bleed.
I think we're making them short circuit. Someone get the fire
Oh.
extinguisher.
Now I want to watch
Is
the
it
movie
vein
Short
bulging?
Circuit.
Yeah, is it vein bulging?
Yeah, it's a good movie.
There's a movie called Short Circuit.
I just
What?
found that. I went through
David,
some of
what
the-
did you just say?
Oh.
Short Circuit.
You have to watch it.
Why am
It's
I
Johnny
Just the
Five.
first one, though.
I,
Just
Why
the
am I
first
being
one.
attacked
Don't watch
right
the
now?
second one. It's
The second one's
not-
good.
I don't like the second one.
It's still good.
yeah.
The ending when
got
I Need a
moments.
Hero is playing, and he's like, Oscar!
What is it with you in that song? You love it in Shrek. You love it in.
Yeah, it's a
Short
good
Circuit,
song.
too.
That song makes everything better.
Johnny Five makes himself look like a 1980s
Yeah.
punk
Yeah.
rocker. No, I just went through my old collection of DVDs and I was pulling out the ones I was like, oh, my kid's ready for this one. That was
I've
one of the
never
ones
even
that
heard
I
of
pulled
this.
out.
You need to watch it, please.
Come on,
Okay.
man.
Like before next week, you
That's
have
your
to
home-
watch it.
Yeah, that's
That is your
homework.
only homework.
And guess
You
what?
have
We're going to
homework.
grill you on it.
Yeah,
That's
And
going to
if
be
you
next week's episode. Is
If you
Mm.
if you don't
Short
watch it,
Circuit.
you're kicked off the podcast.
again?
But we're sitting here 20 minutes in. We haven't even done anything.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me figure out how I gotta stream
Yep.
this first. You mean I gotta pay $2.99 for it?
I will pay.
Oh
the
no,
$2.99.
$2.99.
Oh, I gotta pay $5. I gotta buy the movie on Amazon Prime.
You can rent it
Yeah.
for $2.99.
I don't have Voodoo.
I have Voodoo.
I don't have
I'll give you.
Vudu.
I'll buy it and give you my login. But anyways,
Voodoo.
Yeah. We really derailed.
so
You
today's episode it's really should have been talked about way early in the podcast, but we're talking about it now, so get over it.
Bam.
So for every person, their journey into parenthood is a little bit different. For you guys, it was a little more traditional. For me, it was very chaotic. But overall, we all have one thing in common, and that's how we prepared for our children. Like there are certain steps you go through, whether it happens in 9 months or 2 days. So we've compiled a list of things that are must, or not necessarily must, but recommendations on how
Good
to
ideas, yeah.
prepare or how to get ready to be a parent or a dad.
Just so everybody
And-
knows, the first step in this process is pure panic. When you find out you're going to be a parent.
Yeah.
Well,
Pure
unless you're
panic.
me and it was, oh wait, you're breaking up with me? Oh wait, I get to be a dad?
It was a double panic.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the first
Went
stage is
great.
panic. Regardless of how excited you think you are, how much you want one, for at least a moment, you panic.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah. It was a really
I
fun
did what
panic
now?
to add on top of my already sparkling anxiety that I have. So it's a
Let's
great
say, no
little-
matter what, it might only last a second, but you're going to panic for a second.
I had my first panic attack. The only one I've ever had.
That
Oh,
tracks.
honey.
Like
That tracks.
30 or 40 minutes was that panic attack. I don't see how people do it. I used to not be anxious, and now my anxiety is so bad that if I'm in a public bathroom, I can't come out of the stall unless I know the bathroom's empty.
You're really not selling that
Yeah.
to people who are considering
So
having
heads
kids.
up, that doesn't happen to me.
That's just my weird anxiety
Yeah,
that's
that's-
developed.
I've lived with anxiety since I was born. And
So I definitely
I've
got
never
a
had
lot-
that issue.
A lot more anxiety after a kid. Because now you have a whole another human being to
Yeah.
worry about.
That's where
Right.
my anxiety developed. Like,
No,
and it
Way
just-
more anxiety now than I had
Yeah.
before. Because before I'm like, nah, whatever. And now I'm like, oh no.
and then you have stages of realization of things you're in charge of for that little human being. So it just kind of stacks on top of each other. And we're really doing a good job.
Yeah,
of encouraging
we're making
that.
parenthood sound awesome, especially
So I
in the early stages.
I think it's
Mhm.
Andy Sandberg was
Nerd.
on a talk show, and he was talking about becoming a dad, and he was like, everybody told me, oh, it's the most magical thing and all of this, you should do it, there's nothing else like it. And then he becomes a dad, and they're like, gotcha, sucker.
Now you're part of the club too.
Like, I've seen him in a million things, but for some reason, I haven't seen the interview, but I imagine him talking like his character on Parks and Rec that just speaks obnoxiously loud and weird.
It's just normal.
Yeah.
But now let's go through this list, because we've
Yeah.
derailed. So the first thing, it's educate yourself. So
Read a book.
yeah, read books, parenting classes, listen to our podcast.
Listen to our podcast, definitely number one.
Yeah, that is top tier
top tier.
parenting
Top tier.
right there. Is
But there are a lot of parenting podcasts out there. I mean, like there's Young Dad podcast, Dad's Getting Coffee, Donuts with Dads.
yeah.
There are a lot of just things to at least get you mentally prepared. And they also
But none of them are
Exactly.
as good as us.
We are all experts.
but I mean, like
Uneducated, uncertified experts.
like go with your partner if they're doing the parenting classes. Like for me, it was foster classes. But go with them, which I had to go, otherwise we wouldn't be foster parents. Go with them to the classes. Like learn all you can about childbirth and things like that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Even if it's scary.
It is super scary.
Yeah, not my cup of tea. I was there, but
So my wife had a C-section, and the craziest one was when they were trying to open her up a little bit more, and her whole body's just because they're trying to get the. I'm like, what are you doing? And then the nurse behind me was just like, sit down. I was like, but what? And she's like, I don't even feel it. I'm like, oh my god.
I imagine it's like. Does your wife listen to this podcast?
Yeah.
Crap.
Awesome.
I'm gonna say it because
yeah,
ahead.
say it.
Hey.
You have to now.
I just imagine like
You're
she's
really
sitting
committed.
there and there's a curtain up and you're sitting beside her, and it just sounds like a NASCAR thing, just boo boo.
It's a tire change.
Yeah.
No, not a tired.
And she's just laying there You're freaking out.
Oh,
she's
yeah,
like,
she's like, I don't even feel it. And I'm like, oh,
man.
man.
You're like, where did that
Good,
spring come
because
from?
I do.
See it, right? I was like, no.
I'm having sympathy pain just thinking about that.
Yep. I'm one of those really bad for the sympathy pain stuff. It's dumb.
But as far as educating yourself, like, I know we all met in a Facebook group, but a lot of Facebook groups, especially for parenting, are the judgiest places.
Oh my.
So I don't recommend going out and asking for advice.
Medical advice, especially.
It's like their favorite thing to do.
Yeah. Hey, my kid's doing this. What does that mean?
He's bleeding out his ears. Is that normal?
Yeah.
The mom podcasts or not podcasts, man. The mom
groups.
Facebook groups are so toxic. Like my wife almost deleted Facebook because of the mom Facebook groups. Like some of the stuff they say,
it really
right?
is.
Like she's not a real mom because she didn't give natural birth and that it can't be a C-section. It's like, what?
Yeah.
That's the stuff that they say. So like she had to get off all of those.
You're not a real dad because the baby didn't come out of your dinger.
Right.
Like that's the equivalent of what they're saying.
Yeah. Basically.
But just I say go out, get your own information, and make your own.
Ask a pediatrician.
That
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
Also, get a pediatrician.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
your pediatrician before you
Research
have
a
a kid.
pediatrician.
There are pediatrician, and I know there's people who want to have like a more holistic, don't put medications into my baby unless they're absolutely necessary, which that's your parenting path. That's what you choose to do. There are more holistic pediatricians. That's not my path. That's not what I choose to do for my child. But instead of just talking to the hippie on the corner, there are doctors who do have medical backgrounds, like actual doctorates in like medical degrees, who say, hey, you can use these things, but also you should probably get these shots to protect against things.
Well, yeah. So like, someone that I work with, I work with a lot of people who don't have the most solid belief in science, so they don't vaccinate. And that's like one of the big things for me is like, I don't have many rules as a parent, but like I'm big on vaccination. Science is science for a reason.
Yeah.
Because of science.
Yep.
Yeah, I have choice words that I'm not going to use here for situations like that.
Yeah, it's just people, mad about science and everything that it's killing this and that. It's like, no, it's just us trying to understand the world. They're not going after anything you believe in. It's just us figuring stuff out.
So the next thing on the list, create a support system. Like friends, family, other parents who can like offer help when you need it, emotional support, practical help. Like for me, honestly, I don't know where I would be if it weren't for my mother and father-in-law. Because like a lot of times when my wife was in the hospital and stuff like that, they would take Callie just so I could get like an hour break to clean or to mow or something like that. Like do stuff that I needed to do. But also in that same, like, you need a support system to help protect you and your family.
Yeah.
Because there's something about when you have kids that brings out the most toxic traits in some family members or friends.
100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you don't know where it's going to come from. It usually comes from somewhere you're not expecting it.
Yeah. I've been listening to a lot of like parenting podcasts and stuff like that. And I've noticed a trend of like, typically it's mothers of the parents. They feel that they've been abandoned by their child when they get married and have a kid of their own. So they attach themselves to the new child and just become completely toxic. So it's an interesting look psychologically.
That's not good.
Yeah, like they're using that grandchild to fill a void that was left by their child.
God, did I just get super lucky and have a mom who's super awesome And like,
I mean, it's not all
understand-
moms that do
Okay.
that.
I was about to
It's-
say, both my mom and Meredith's mom are really great about like, okay, this is the schedule. This is what you want him doing.
Yeah.
But some of the horror stories I've heard, like, why? I draw a line. Be like, okay, if this is how you're going to do it, then you're not gonna get to babysit my kid.
Yeah.
Like,
So
sorry.
listen to our pre-John episode, Setting Boundaries.
Yeah,
Oh, that was a good episode.
That was a really. I wanna
There's
go back and
That was
there's
way back when.
there's PJ and AJ
The when now?
Setting Boundaries.
yeah.
So there's pre-John and after John.
The what?
The what?
Fear of our John, and
I don't know.
Oh,
what
okay.
this
It took me a second. I was like, what? What? You having sound troubles? Anyways, so the next thing.
is. Those don't access.
I've always been here. Financial planning. So, like, find out a way to create a budget for like
Make a budget.
medical costs, child-related needs, child care.
Mhm.
Here's a fun hint about all of that. It's going to cost
Always
more
a
than you
fun
think it does.
topic.
Yeah. This is going to sound bad, but thankfully I didn't have to go through the medical cost of everything. Like, those, all that was taken care of. And like when you adopt from foster care, there's not much, if any, of cost. So I didn't have to experience that. But I've heard horror stories, thanks to the United States healthcare system.
So yeah, luckily I've had great insurance with both kids. So
Yeah.
Even with insurance, like it's bad when you have to set up a payment plan for your child to be
Yeah.
paying.
that's
Yeah.
After
Like,
insurance.
hey, we're going to make
Yeah.
you have this child. Also, we're going to make you pay a lot of money to have this child.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But childcare is just insanely expensive.
yeah. Also figure that out before the baby gets there if you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
If you can, figure out where you're
Yeah. Try and have a
who the
plan.
child care is. Have the plan before you do it, because once the kid
Mhm.
gets there,
Mm-hmm.
your mind is
You got
chaos.
nothing.
There's-
Yeah.
Everything else is going to be happening all the time. You're not going to have time to think about it. Then you need to think about it
Mhm.
now when you have the time.
well, and
And get
a
through it.
lot of daycares have such a long waiting list.
Oh, God, right?
So the daycare that we originally wanted my daughter to go to, she's been on this waiting list for 3 years
Holy
and is
hell.
not. She's like
Wow.
7th in line.
Jesus.
It's a very good daycare.
I'm so glad that I have my
I was
mother-in-law.
gonna say, is that one of those super fancy with the pearly
Yeah,
gates
pretty
and
much.
everything?
I know there's the one that's like literally at the end of your street that you don't want to go to.
That's a school. Like that's
Oh,
an
a
elementary school.
Okay.
Yeah.
They don't watch her
Just
anyways.
drop her off. It'll be fine.
But no. So like daycare costs, I think on average are like $1,700 a month on average in the United States.
Whoa. That's
Yeah.
okay. I guess insurance is helping take care of a lot of ours then.
I don't know. Like my area is like $600, $600 or $700 a month is the average cost of the daycare in my area. But like Nashville, which is a bigger city, it's you're looking to
Mhm.
to drop like $1,000 a month at least if you want a daycare.
Yeah, some of the times it can be more than the
Yeah.
mortgage of your house.
So I know there's places around here that are like
Okay,
$400,
yeah.
$500 a week.
Yeah.
I think
What?
ours is around 300 a week.
my daughter.
We are
My daughter's daycare is $135 a week,
Still, so much.
which is cheap.
Yeah.
that's we are fortunate with my wife teaching that they have a program where they can watch your kid while you're employed there, and it's about $400 a month.
Wow.
Still.
Dang.
Yeah, that's like
So
extremely.
if you're looking for a
discounted.
career change and have proper certifications, getting into working at a daycare is also beneficial because
Can
you
make
get a
you look-
discount.
Oh no, some of them still don't.
I thought about starting a daycare after that. Like we'll start as dad as it gets daycare.
There you go. Yeah.
So just watch Daddy Daycare a couple of times, and then you'll really understand.
My wife tells me all the
how
time
to
if
do
we
it.
have another one that I'm gonna have to start a daycare and be in charge of it because she's
I
still going to
missed.
work.
What does that mean? I missed. Yeah.
Best part of the movie right there.
After you freaked out about the financial planning, healthcare and
Mhm.
medical support.
Yeah.
So, and this is something I was listening to Young Dad podcast, and I don't remember who the guest was, but the host Jay, he was talking to his guest, and they were talking about like things fathers can do, because the mother is for the most part going to be recovering, and so things that dad can do that can help is like scheduling doctor's appointments and everything like that, taking the kids to the doctor's appointment.
Yeah. So all right, I'll admit I'm terrible at scheduling the appointments. But then my wife tells me when the appointment is and when they have to be there, and I will execute it perfectly. But I am terrible at getting them and remembering when they are. But then she's like, hey, you need to take this day off work to take the kids to the doctors. You got it. I'll take all 3. No problem. I will execute it. I will not plan it. I will forget every time.
Yeah. Just put it on the calendar for me. I'll make sure it gets done.
Yep.
So, and I mean, I'm actually really bad about setting the appointments up. My wife being a nurse, like when I call versus when she calls, we can call about the same thing. She can get an appointment sooner than I can because she knows how to talk to the nurses.
Oh, yeah. She's in the medical field. She is a nurse.
Yeah.
It's cheating.
But also think about insurance, because for typically in America, the first 30 days of a child's life, they're covered under the mother's or father's medical insurance.
Mm-hmm.
After that, they need their own. So you have to weigh those out.
And I do know
Mhm.
a lot of places of employment, like, even though like you renew at the end of your company's fiscal year, like they cover like changes in life.
Yeah.
For
So
instance,
Yeah, but you have to
get
still do it
married,
within like
have a
60
kid.
days.
Yeah.
yeah.
You still have to do all the paperwork within 60 days.
So like with open enrollment, typically open enrollment's around October to November.
It depends on your company. Ours is in
yeah.
May.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I don't think
fiscal
I-
year for most places.
Like ours is
Where I used to work, it was December.
yeah. Every place I've ever worked, it's always been end of year.
Ours is May.
Yeah,
Yours is
it
weird.
is. But for life change events, like gaining a family member, losing family member, things like that, you can change your insurance without waiting for open enrollment.
Mhm.
But yeah, and also finding a healthcare provider that you trust is a big thing. Like for us, we stuck with the doctor that delivered my daughter
Mm-hmm.
because he had a lot of knowledge about like the conditions of her birth and everything. But we ended up switching to a doctor's office that my wife went and did her nursing stuff, like whatever it was, her nursing classes there. Because her original doctor, one of the PRNs, did not wear a mask when out in public, and this was at the height of COVID.
The hype or the height?
The height. Shut up. Height. The peak of COVID.
There you
Yeah.
go. He
That's
found
the one. That's the.
Did I say hype? I said hype.
You said
You
hype
said
the
hype.
first time.
Yeah.
I was gonna let it go, but
Heights with the TH the second time.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if we had hyped it more, maybe it would have
We
gone
hyped it
differently.
plenty. It's just people.
But her, as a result, like her doctor's office was constantly closed because of COVID. So we had to find a more consistent doctor. Yeah, reliable.
Yeah.
But so yeah, just do your research on doctors as well.
Mhm.
So step 5, preparing the home. Like most people will, they'll go, like most mothers will go through nesting, where they just like clean and set everything up typically around the time. It's like a biological need
Mhm.
to do that
Mhm.
around the time of birth. For us, like we had to, our home preparations were approved by a professional, so it was a little bit easier for us.
And God forbid you have a dog that sheds. And I swear, I was asked to Swiffer like twice a day because our dog sheds. And, you know, are you with a pregnant woman, especially when she's like 8 months in there? All right.
You don't do that.
We were told that we couldn't have our knives in a knife block because the baby could climb up on the counter and grab a
Yes, your
knife.
newborn baby can
That's the
climb
most
up on it.
ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, when she said that, I was like, "Are you serious?" She was like, "Yes, you need to put them up higher." I was like,
Don't you remember the cartoon Rugrats? And they would pull the drawers out into the stairs.
"Yeah,"
and
but
get
also
up?
I don't leave my child with an 80-year-old man who's going to fall asleep watching dirty movies.
That is true.
But no, like, be sure to childproof things. When they're first born, you don't really have to childproof much.
Yeah,
Well,
we
the
didn't.
firstborn, you don't have to childproof anything until like
Yeah, we made
4
sure
months.
furniture was built, and that was it for the first few months. Like, okay, everything's built,
Until
and
they start
then
crawling.
then it's crawling. So it's like, okay, let's put outlet covers on. Let's make sure sharp corners are covered.
Yeah.
Once they start walking, it's over.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You just cover your whole home in bubble wrap once they start walking, because that's the only way, like,
Or
to have some sort of sanity.
Do what I do. Procrastinate
Do you know
long
what-
enough for to put the childproof on the bathroom cabinet doors, where Julian was walking around and he could open them, and we just had to keep paying attention, right? And then
Mhm.
I don't know, probably after like 2 months, I finally put the little child safety things on that. That first time he opened it and it slammed like right back in his face because like he had opened it only a little bit. He was so mad. He was like, "What is this sorcery?" Bam, bam, bam,
I think
bam.
the,
And just
What have you people done?
and then he'd look at us like, "What is happening?"
The only one we didn't really put a latch on to keep it closed, as far as like cabinets and everything, is the Tupperware cabinet. And
Yeah.
now,
If they pull
yeah,
that
they
out,
pull it
it's
all
just-
out.
It's funny.
And now that's just an extra place for his toys, and like we don't actually store any food in the Tupperware cabinet. We keep it on the counter where he can't reach it. Because we're like, is this clean? I don't know. He might have thrown it on the ground. All right, well, let's just go ahead and use the clean ones that are on the counter.
I tell you, the most terrifying thing about child-proofing the house and making everything safe is the baby gates. And yeah, you put them up right. Yeah, they latch. But to hear my daughter at the top of the stairs shaking the baby gate door
Yeah.
vigorously, and you're just like, are you gonna hold? Are you gonna hold?
Yeah.
So
We were
I'm a
lucky-
very big proponent on mount your baby gates, like hard mount them. Don't worry.
Drill it into the wall.
Make the holes in the wall. Don't worry
Mhm.
about it. It is a huge difference between the tension ones and the mounted ones. You're gonna wish you mounted it. Just
Yeah.
mount it. Get over the little cosmetic
yeah, I mean,
damage that's
just
gonna
a-
happen and just do it.
Yeah.
But they got the latch, like the actual locking part that lets you swing it
Yep.
open or not, and that thing just, yeah,
Uh,
it's terrifying when you're like, you're gonna work properly, right, buddy?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's not like it costs a terrible amount of money to buy the little bit of like stucco or whatever, like whatever you need to patch
Yeah.
the holes.
You'll
Yeah.
patch
You
it
end
later
up
on.
moving or anything later. Like,
That stuff is gonna
patch
be
it,
up for
paint it.
years. It's
yeah,
gonna be up for years because there's still times, even when, like, you know, they're not gonna get in stuff, but sometimes you still don't want them to go in the kitchen Or you
Yeah.
still don't
Yeah.
want him to go down the stairs.
Hey,
you still
I
want
need
it
5
to
minutes
hold
to
up.
myself.
And
Yep.
and it'll keep your in-laws out because my father-in-law cannot figure out a baby gate to save his life. It's like the same baby gate for like 3 years, and he's like, "How do I open this?" Hang on.
Like, same baby gate, man. Same baby gate.
I tell you the nice thing about baby gates is your children will tell you when they no longer need the baby gate because they figure out how to open
Oh,
it.
my daughter can open it, but we
Yeah.
still we use it also to keep the dogs in certain areas.
Yeah, we do that too. But what I started
Yeah.
doing when I really don't
Yeah,
want, so Julian was
exactly.
able to open it. So what I did on the other side, I put a thick bungee. It's a metal baby gate.
Yeah.
It's so like
Mhm.
it'll open just like a little bit, and that's
And
it.
it's
And he
slam shut.
doesn't have enough. He doesn't have enough strength to get it all the way out. So I'm like, ha, still can't get in it.
Cool. So you're toddler training him to be super strong, and then eventually,
Yeah, that's probably gonna happen.
yeah.
So
We had the same thing going with keeping the dog from going upstairs by having the gate there. And then my son became old enough we didn't need it anymore, so we took it down. And our dog, our stairs are weird, and they could get on the first step before the
Yeah.
gate was there because of the way the railings are. We take away the gate. My dog would only go to that first step, and even though there was nothing
Mhm.
physically stopping him, he just wouldn't go past it.
That's so.
And
My parents' house.
our cat figured that out, and our cat would go to the third step and just stare at the dog.
Oh, your cat sounds like a cat.
but so for the next thing, I think it's extremely important. Parenting philosophy. So discuss your parenting values, discipline strategies, and other important aspects with your partner to ensure that you're on the same page.
Mhm.
Because I've been listening to a lot of like situations where parents don't believe that the same thing. So the one that I'm thinking of mainly is on the podcast, Am I the Jerk? And in the situation, this family, this woman's brother passed away when she was extremely young. And I guess in kind of like I don't know what the reasoning behind it was, but her family stopped celebrating birthdays. And so like it started out that her mother, father, and herself did not celebrate birthdays. And then the entire family kind of did the same thing. And so when this woman got married and their child, they had a kid, yes. When they got married and their child had a kid, when they had the child, the family, like the wife was like, we're not doing a birthday because like she's too young, she's not going to remember. The dad is like, we're doing this is what normal people do. And so they got into a huge fight about that. Like that was something that they didn't agree upon, and they went ahead and did a birthday anyways, took pictures. He shared it with his family, and it started like a huge fight. If anybody's getting paid, it's me. I do all the work here.
That's true.
Hey, I had comedic relief.
But no, so like
We say
No,
things.
you have to get on you have to get on the same philosophy, same general direction really early. Because if you're not,
Yeah.
this isn't going to work. Like you're going to have little
Yeah, you need to be a team
differences.
on that.
Typically, like between me and my wife, she'll think that I discipline a little bit too hard. I think she disciplines a little bit too easy, but it's still not that big of a gap. It's still a pretty
Yeah.
small gap. It's not like I'm spanking and beating and she's just encouraging, right? It's not like that at all. It's I probably took something away a little bit harshly or a little bit too soon without enough warning. We're still on the same general direction.
I tend to raise my voice louder than I mean to. Especially when I'm irritated, like I will yell and not mean it, not mean to yell. But no, like you want a partner, like the way I always think about it is it's like you and your partner versus everything you go through in parenthood. So if you guys aren't on the same page or you're constantly fighting about things, it's going to cause tension, and you're not going to be able to parent more effectively, because you're going to do something and then your partner's going to do something that completely undermines you.
No, you can't do that. You got to be on the same page.
Yeah.
And only two people have to be on the same page, you and your partner.
Yeah,
After that, nobody else's opinion matters as long as you two are on the same page.
exactly. And I think that's one of the biggest pitfalls in parenting is that you've typically got parents that are on different pages, because you look at a lot of things. It's like the dad a lot of times will be the fun one, and the mom will be the strict one that is always like mad about something because the dad, like Mrs. Doubtfire, for example.
Yeah.
That's a perfect example.
No.
Because
Meredith's the fun one. I'm the no parent.
I'm the fun no parent.
Well, that's typically how it is. I'm the disciplinary one, but I'm also the one that's going to climb the play set.
Yeah. Also,
like,
I can relate to
you
that.
don't have to be a bandit to people aren't going to understand that terminology. They're like smoking a bandit or something. You don't have to be like,
figure it out, people. It's 2023.
Bluey. You don't have to be
Bluey.
a bandit to be a good parent. Like, you can still interact with your child in serious ways. Like, my wife doesn't get goofy the way I do, and that's okay. But I mean,
you don't have to be the same person with your partner. You just have to be on the same guidelines, right? Like, you just have to be in the same direction. You can't be, one parent can't be, I can't think of a different term right now, but one can't be like church every Sunday and the other one anti-religion. And you guys not get on the same page of what you want your kid to be. Now, the two people can exist and be on different pages, right? You can exist with your partner just fine. But when you're deciding what the kid is doing, then you guys both have to be in agreement. Otherwise, it won't work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have the same goals for the child. Have the same ideas of what you maybe do or don't want to see happen.
And that doesn't have to mean you're changing who you are to do that. That's just where you're deciding, okay, this is what we're saying the kid is going to.
Yeah.
Right? That doesn't mean it's changing who you are. But it's just making sure that everybody's on the same page for that.
I kind of think that in the aspects of religion, like, that's a pretty serious thing. So if you are religious but your partner is not, like, that's a big discussion you need to have before even considering if you want a relationship.
Yeah.
And the two people you can totally coexist and be in a great relationship and have completely different views. But once the kid is introduced into that relationship, you have to have a united direction that kid is going.
Yeah.
Another thing, and this is, I guess, especially for parents who have their kid and then separate or whatever the situation might be, talk to, like, if you're going to do something with the child, whether it's like, hey, I'm going out, I have a babysitter, like, make sure that the other parent is comfortable with that person being left alone with your child.
Even if you're separated, you still have to be on the same page.
Yep, still have to be on the same page.
It's
the only person that it hurts when you're not on the same page and two parents are fighting is the kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm literally going through that today.
You can tell
where I'm getting super frustrated, but at the end of the time, it still has to be about our daughter, so I have to get past it. Right?
Like,
because
you can tell me all day long,
her.
This person is your friend and you trust him. Sorry, David. So you can tell me all day long, this person is your friend and you trust him. I don't know this person. I've never met them. I want to, at the very least, meet them and see how they interact with my child.
Yeah.
Before you go out for the night and this person, no matter what the situation might be, before you leave my child or our child with this person I don't know.
But yeah,
I'm not sore on a subject.
All right. So the next thing is maternity/paternity leave. Um,
Oh man, we got a long way to go.
yeah.
Yeah, we are.
This one's actually really short.
Yeah.
Basically, if you're in America, you're screwed.
Yeah.
Uh,
Kick rocks, pal.
yeah, because America, like, they don't have a good system set up for new parent time off. Like, I got
Yeah.
my job is extremely amazing for what they did for me. Like, for fostering, I get 6 weeks new parent time off per year. So if I continue to foster, which we eventually will, when we get a new foster placement, I get that new parent time off. No questions asked. Like, I don't even have to prove that I'm a foster parent. They're just like, okay,
Cool.
Yeah.
Enjoy fostering.
I feel like somebody got burned on that. For them not even to make you ask questions.
I don't know. Like everybody knew that my coworkers, I was very open about the fostering process and everything. And when I went on new parent time off, like they saw the pictures. So,
Man, I thought I had it good with my company giving me a week.
no,
off.
I got 6 weeks off, and I could take it within the first year of the child, like the child being placed in my home.
I
That
didn't
was
technically
something
get
I
any.
wanted
I
to
took
touch
2
on.
weeks vacation.
I was going to say some places will let you take it when you want, and if that is the case, I
And
if this were me, I would say have the mother who just have birth or gave birth or whatever take maternity leave. Then when she
Yeah.
goes back to work, you take your paternity leave, if at all
That's a good idea
possible, so
too,
that
yeah.
that
to
way
extend the time.
extend
So,
the time.
I get that. It would be totally impossible if she gave birth via C-section.
Yeah, because
they can't do
Yeah.
anything for the first few weeks. Someone has to be with her for the first few weeks, so you
Yeah.
kind of have to take it at the same time.
But I'm gonna brag
You-
about my job again. That was 100% paid. Like there was no
Nice.
60% of your pay. Yeah. So learn your company's parenting time off.
Yeah, while we're doing promos, Larry, where do you work?
Not gonna say it. Nope.
But if they want to sponsor the
They
show,
will not. I know for a fact they won't.
You check.
Because he won't ask.
No, they don't. They don't sponsor people. So next line, healthy lifestyles. So prioritize your health. Which I mean, like, I can't really say anything. I've
Yeah, I
gained
can't either.
10 pounds since I've had a kid.
that's
Lost
parenting.
20.
Shut up.
Since I've had a kid, I've lost like 85. But that was a long time ago now.
Yeah, how much of that did you put back on?
None of it.
But
Oh.
so, like for
I was
me,
up over
Alright,
300
good
at
job.
one point, man.
that those the newborn stage, it's very difficult to eat healthy.
Yeah, because you just want to snack over them and never put them down.
Yep.
My daughter had very bad acid reflux and was like colicky for like the first 4 months of her life. She cried
Oh, no.
nonstop. So if I set her down, she would scream. So she was being held a lot.
Yeah. No.
Uh,
We always held our kids. We didn't even have, they weren't even colicky. We used to just like,
Yeah.
never put them down.
Anytime I was home and able to hold my kid, like, yeah, come here, buddy.
So-
like, you are all mine. This is a day I'm not going to be able to do this. So,
I blame my wife for that. We were together for like a year, and I picked Scarlett up, and I like winced a little bit from picking her up because I picked her up in a weird spot, and she just goes, one day you'll never pick her up again. I was like,
Hey,
you are so
whoa.
mean,
Why you gotta
what
say
a
that?
monster.
right? And so she didn't even think about it when she said it. And to this day, like the year that I wasn't allowed to pick up my daughter because of my back surgery was just awful.
yeah.
She's 10 now, and I still pick her up, and I'm still like, yep, I'm gonna pick you up, and until you ask me not to.
Thankfully, my daughter is tiny. Like she's 3 years old and not even broke 30 pounds yet.
I think Harrison has gotten like taller and bigger, but like he's sitting right around like 26 and a half, 27 pounds, and he's been that way for a while. Like he's lost some of the baby chunk, but like he got taller, which is weird because I know we've never met each other, but we all know that I'm not a very tall person.
No, you're like 3'5", right?
Yeah.
I'm like 5'3". 5'4". God, you're 2 inches taller than me. Shut up.
You guys are all.
David, they're called hobbits. It's nothing to be ashamed of.
I do have hobbit feet. Like they're wide and a little hairy. Let's get back on topic.
Samwise.
But
no, I survived. I survived on oatmeal
sorry.
pies for like the first month or something like that.
Pretty sure you needed some vegetables at some point.
Oatmeal pies.
Yeah.
I ate so many oatmeal pies.
There's oats in the oatmeal pie.
And pizza rolls. Like if it was either oatmeal pies or something microwaved.
I love pizza rolls.
I hate the
And
microwave.
dinosaur nuggets. I'm a full-grown man and I'll eat dinosaur nuggets.
Well, dinosaur nuggets are delicious, and I don't do anything in the
They
microwave.
taste better than regular chicken nuggets, and you cannot convince me otherwise.
But sorry, John, what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say, with the picking up your kids, my son is 7. He's a big kid now. He's like 97 percentile height and everything. Not easy to pick up anymore. I still try.
Yeah,
it doesn't go well.
He's like your size, and you're like barely picking him up off the ground.
You guys ever watch Cat Williams stand up? With Baby Shaq?
Yeah. So we're gonna.
But I make the joke that like I can't pick you up easily. That's why we have your sister. I can pick her up pretty easy still.
So like the next one isn't for everybody. I know a lot of people will prepare hospital bags with just things that you need while you're in the hospital. I feel like that's
and use half of it.
Yeah, I feel like that's common knowledge that most people do.
But you also have to remember one more thing: to bring it with you when you leave.
That's true.
It sounds like you're speaking from experience.
I am 2 for 2 for not bringing the bag. The second time was a scheduled C-section.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Not to derail entirely, but we're derailing today anyways. Scheduled births are the weirdest thing ever.
Yeah.
I have an appointment to make a child.
I remember we had it for my daughter, right? And I was like, we dropped off my son at my in-laws at 4. And so I was like, okay, so at 4 we'll drop off, our son. At 5 we'll go get a little bite to eat. At 6, baby. And I was like, this is no way like our first child. Our first child, it was like, I think you're going to labor. I think you're going to. We need to go right now because you're going to labor. And then just second one is just, dude.
Yeah, we were a few weeks early, and like I still had a whole bunch of baby stuff to build, like his bassinet and his little swing, and like 1 or 2 other small things, and also pack the go bags because
Didn't do it
because I was like, we still have plenty of time. I'll go ahead and wait, and then whoops, contractions.
No, I packed them like 2 months ahead of time. Still left them right by the door when I left. The first time I blame my wife because we literally bought a recliner, brought it home, I put it together. She sits in it. And she goes, "This is pretty comfy." By the way, I've been in labor for like the last 6 hours. I was like, "What?
What?"
And I was zing, and then I was like, because she went and took a shower. Because she knew if she told me, I would panic, throw her in the car, and go. Yeah. So she didn't tell me until she was like, "All right, we ate. You put the recliner together. I showered. Now we can go." I was like, "What?"
And y'all remember my story where we had to stop and Meredith had to get her nails done for 2 hours. Yeah. And then we had to go to Chick-fil-A afterwards. And I got screamed at because I didn't want Chick-fil-A, but apparently I did want Chick-fil-A.
Of course you wanted Chick-fil-A.
Because you don't argue
especially in rush hour traffic while it's raining and your partner is in active labor, like having contractions. Just get something. Don't worry about getting it at the hospital. Okay.
So take a number 7.
They also tricked me at the hospital. We were in overnight for observation, and they're like, "Yeah, the contractions are still really far apart, so we'll probably send you home, and you'll come back in We were supposed to go back in, I think, 24 or 48 hours for the scheduled C-section. So then the next doctor comes in and he was like, all right, well, I'll see you in about 45 minutes in the operating room. Nobody else said anything else in between that. This is now 7 a.m. I went and had somebody bring clothes to the hospital so that way I could get dressed for work because I was not scheduled to be off of work for another couple of days. And they already said and reiterated that it was not going to happen today. We're going to come back. So I got all dressed and everything. And then he's like, all right, I'll see you in like 45 minutes in the operating room. We were like, what? I was just completely short circuiting, walking around like a chicken with his head cut off, just bouncing around in the room. And
Wearing
the only
a suit
person,
and tie.
yeah, right. The only person that was even remotely level headed was my wife, who was like, all right, you haven't eaten in a while. Go down the cafeteria and eat. You're diabetic. You're going to crash in the room. And I'm not dealing with you passing out in the operating room while I'm being operated on. It's like, that's fair.
So it's usually the dads that panic.
Oh, so much.
So
Panic about going to the hospital.
And I read all the books. I had everything packed. Everything was built. It was good. We were done. Still panicked.
The next thing, baby essentials. So like make a list of things that the baby will need. I mean, a lot of people will get them with baby showers.
Mhm.
I'm going to tell you now, you're not going to need those smallest set of diapers for that long.
No, get like
Yeah.
the tiniest pack of newborns, unless you have my kids.
Yeah,
They were in newborns for like ever. But other than that, most of the time you don't need like any newborns.
we were in the preemies for like maybe a week or two, and
They
then
grow
she was in
super fast.
newborns.
Yeah.
Well, and the cool thing is, I know a lot of stores will accept unopened boxes as like exchanges
Not
for diapers
during
or anything.
COVID,
Oh yeah, no, not during COVID.
because people were buying things in bulk.
Oh,
so
yeah, because people were being stupid
The-
and ruining it for
the
all of
only
us.
reason I was able to return so much stuff that I did was because I used to work at Walmart and a lot of people knew me. And I was like, hey, I was given this stuff. Some of the stuff I'm not even sure if you guys sell it because I wasn't sure of the brand or the size of boxes. I was like, can I return this? And they're like, normally no, but it's you.
There you go.
Yeah, one thing I'll say about the stuff you buy for your kid before your kid's even there or given at baby showers is you're not going to use
Any
like
of it.
1/4 of that stuff
Yeah.
that you are either given or buy because you saw someone say, oh, this is a good item or whatever.
You'll use it
Um,
once or twice, and then be like, yeah, maybe
You know
not.
You know what Avery's favorite toy is?
Boxes.
Any soda bottle that has like a little bit of soda left in it. Any soda bottle, a little bit of left soda in it, he's gonna just. So I mean, I have stopped at like we have like a drive-through store, got it, chugged as much as I could, and then handed it to him because he needed to play with it before we did a drive.
And then
Harrison really loved like empty water bottles, like the Deer Park ones that are like extra squishy and crinkly.
yeah,
He would just grab those and like crinkle away.
it's a sensory thing.
Yeah.
But if you're wanting recommendations on things, we have an episode for that.
We do.
That's not for kids' toys. That's for things that you will need.
Yeah, there's like actual necessities.
It's baby essentials. Those are essential for babies.
Yes.
But I had someone try to sell me an Owlet monitor, O2 monitor.
I
Oh,
don't
we
know.
got one of those.
Don't.
Those are bad.
Yeah.
We
For
got it
one,
as a kid.
Fire hazard.
no. For one, they burn the baby.
Yeah, they're.
Oh, no, we never had problems with that.
They give you a warning saying don't leave it on the baby because the battery will burn it. Another thing, I don't trust the company because they claimed to be approved, but then they weren't FDA approved.
They're
So
approved by
they had
Joe
to.
Schmo, Pete, pharmacist in some no town,
Yeah.
Wyoming.
So they had to recall a bunch of their items, wait until they were FDA approved, and then put them out. So I'm not going to trust any monitor. And they've done studies that show. So if your child has the need for an O2 monitor, your pediatrician will and can and will prescribe you one. The only thing those do is just cause parents unnecessary stress because they
Watch it.
they
You're just
get
gonna
loose.
watch
Yeah.
It
They get
needs to watch
loose. They get loose, and then they do all this stuff. Like in most cases, they increase anxiety.
Yeah, 'cause babies do not sit still when they sleep. They
No,
move
so-
basically constantly.
I that's the
Did
one
I have a
thing.
miracle baby who just like
Maybe.
took his happy ass to sleep? And can I say that on here? Like who took
You
himself
already
to sleep
did.
and like
Too late
yeah,
now.
right? Like, yeah, he would lay there and occasionally like he'd wake up and stir some, and I could see like, oh hey, Harrison is stirring. Wait,
Kids
now
move
he's not moving
constantly.
anymore.
Yeah.
They're upside down. They helicopter.
So we already went over safety measures.
Kick vigorously against the edge of the crib.
Another thing, like this next one, I feel is definitely important. When the baby arrives, your relationship goes from focusing on each other to focusing on this new child. Make sure you still focus on your partner, because you know when the child is old enough and gone, your partner's the one you're going to be with still, and you want to make sure that that person's not a stranger.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, for my in-laws, you know what they do when Callie's not around? They like go into power saving mode. they just kind of sit there and like occasionally will stare at the TV or their phones or something like that. They don't talk to each other. Like they'll occasionally say something, but no, a couple times is important. Like me and my wife will drop Callie off at the in-laws and we'll go and have a date night or date
So we're
day.
really bad at dropping our kids off somewhere. And like trying to leave them with anybody besides very few people. So we've tried to do it where after the kids go to sleep, then we still have like a little mini date night. Because I'm not great at trusting anybody with my kids.
It's hard. It really is, especially if it's not like immediate.
Especially
family.
since I'm a type A control freak.
Yeah. Even still, like in some situations, and this isn't my situation, but some people can barely even trust their own family to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Granted, my family is full of junkies. Like,
yeah.
My sister's recovering, but she offered. She's like, "Hey, this weekend I'm going to take Callie to the park." And I'm like, okay, well, so that means I'm going to the park with Callie, and we'll just hang out. Yeah.
Call that a trial run.
Yeah. We went over childcare options, like bonding with your baby. I feel is a big thing, and I think like. Especially for dads or adoptive parents, foster parents, things like that. Bonding is difficult or can be difficult because you don't know where to go for it. Like when my daughter was first born, like I was a stranger to her. Like she didn't hear my voice 9 months before or anything like that. So I was worried that she was afraid with this stranger. And like I tried skin to skin bonding. That was really awkward for both of us. She just like grabbed a handful of chest hair and pulled. I'm like, all right, we're not doing that anymore.
That's over.
But no, we eventually like we bonded over music and movies. Now we bond over like Spider-Man and stuff like that, and playing. But just, I think finding your own way to bond because each child's different is important. Yeah. I don't. How did you guys bond?
I was home, and I know my situation is different than most. I worked for the first couple months. My son was born. And then my job became too much of a burden. It was sometimes a 2-hour drive just to get back home from it because they were doing construction on one of the highways and it was down to one lane. So I was a stay-at-home dad, so I got plenty of bonding time, which was easy for me, and I loved it because, like, dream job, like, David, just stay at home dad. Like if I could get paid to be a dad and just chill and teach
That's
my
what we're
kids
trying to do with
stuff,
the
and
podcast.
yeah. So if you guys want to share this with all
Seriously,
your
sponsors.
friends and all your friends and just like put it out there so that
Really, even not your friends, you can still share it.
Yeah.
share it with everybody you know.
They don't even have to be parents. Just like
Even people you don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead and like just buy a stack of stickers or something and like put them on public transportation.
Shameless
And
self-promotion.
yeah, I will. Yeah, do that.
no, if
Plug
I'll mail somebody stickers.
yeah.
I've got a stack.
Yeah. So for all of our listeners, just email as dad as it gets at is it as dad as it gets pod at Gmail?
As dadasitgets at gmail.com.
As dad as it gets at gmail.com. Let Larry know, and we've got stickers for you.
Yeah.
There you go.
Um,
Anyone in the major city with public transportation, we are challenging you to do this. Just
Yeah. You know what?
flood those buses.
I bet you won't.
I bet
bet
you
you're
won't
too
stick it on
chicken.
that homeless guy in the back of the bus.
I bet you're too
Don't put it
chicken.
on the homeless guy.
Stick
That's
it right
just
on his
rude.
forehead as he was asleep.
No.
Yeah, I bet you're too chicken to hang it up and like put it on
So,
signs in public and stuff.
Obnoxiously, yeah.
we kind of went over parenting resources as well.
Yeah.
We've
I
had a
feel
lot
like
of these.
time management is one thing that's definitely, and not even time management, just schedule in general.
Yeah, I'm
Having your
terrible at
child,
it.
having your child on a schedule is extremely important. Like it will
Mhm.
make things so much easier for you as a parent. We've got my daughter on a schedule, and like we vary on it, maybe 30 minutes.
We're terrible at the schedules.
But it's like
Why
my
does
daughter.
that not surprise me?
My daughter is always we at 7:00 we start bedtime routine. No later than 8:30 she's asleep.
Yeah.
On
Yeah,
a good
so
day,
I'll be-
yeah, that sounds like us.
I'll be
That's
playing, and my wife will be like, "All right, it's bedtime," and I'll just pop up and be like, "No." And then keep going. And then keep going with the kids. And so she's like, really, she has another child that I'm like buried in the. I'm like, you have to come find me, and I'm buried in stuffed animals in the room, just giggling.
This is why your
I can-
kids don't go to sleep.
Oh, yeah, sometimes they'll sleep at 10:00.
Suddenly have the image in my head from E.T. where she's going past.
Yeah,
those
it's the
stuffed
big
animals.
pile of stuffed animals, and then here's a super weird face just poking out.
Yep.
You don't see me.
You should get face paint and paint yourself like a teddy bear, and then just hide in a pile of stuffed
Or
animals.
she would kill me. You would never find my body.
No, we would. It would be in the stuffed animals.
Yeah.
She wouldn't move it at all.
She would just be like, stab, stab, stab. There we go.
Daddy's there forever.
Cover it up
says-
with a few more stuffed animals.
My tombstone's gonna read "effed with wife one too many times."
Now he's sleeping with the teddy bears.
Yep.
I'm back to the mobster.
So the final thing on our list, just celebrate the journey. Like enjoy being a parent. I know that some people don't, but it's fun. And
It's as much fun as you let it be.
yeah, and for David, it's too much fun.
Yeah.
But,
Dave was in there like, yeah.
I don't understand. The problem. She's like, I'll be like, I don't understand the problem. She's like,
If
well,
you're
it's
doing it
9:30
right.
and you're still playing.
The
Yes.
kids were supposed to be in bed an hour ago.
I'm like, I don't have a bedtime. She's like, they do. I was like, you should put them to bed then.
that sounds like a them problem.
How are you
Please.
doing
Please tell your wife that.
I tell her that all the time. I tell her that all the time. She's like, what? She's like, I'm watching them tomorrow. She's like, I'm gonna be home with them tomorrow. Like, I gotta deal with them. And I was like, oh, that sounds like a you issue. I'll be working. So
She deserves to hit you.
she does.
You say things like that, and you fart all over the room, and just leave and do a podcast.
I don't even have to fart in the room. I have farted in the living room and woke her up sleeping in the bedroom on the other side of the house with a closed
That's
door.
bad.
Was it the stench or the
Weird.
sound or both?
We're just all
Oh, it
gonna
was
turn
just the
away.
smell. It was a silent one.
Oh.
And it lingered. She went like into a different room. She's like, "Did you come in this bedroom and fart?" And I was like, "No, I've been out here the whole time." She went in the bathroom. It still stunk. I farted in the living room.
I imagine it's like a cartoon. Like you see David fart in this green cloud with a hand. It goes through and opens doors and
I said we don't
walks in there.
have a big house, but I mean it's like 1,200 square feet, so like it's also not super tiny.
Yeah. I hope you have an animation you can find for David farting and sneaking away.
I don't
The type of green cloud, it comes up to the closed door and you see the little hand come out and open the door.
Dude, it's so bad to the point that anytime my daughter smells anything bad, she's like, "Dad." Anytime. I'm like,
that's just fathers in general.
I'm like, I just changed the baby's butt. And she's like, I don't know if I buy it.
Did you fart on the baby's butt?
Yeah, like she's like,
Now, the best part is then taking that smell and blaming one of the kids for it.
I only do that.
I've done that.
I only do that in public. I'll fart really loud at the grocery store and then be like, "Scarlett, how dare you?" She looks mortified.
Oh, she's the perfect age for that too.
I love messing with her as a 10-year-old. 9, 10. It is so much fun.
Like, just be me and my wife, and it's very obvious that I farted, and I'll look at her and be like, that was you.
You did it. This is a scene of Family Guy where that.
Yeah.
I blame the kids before I blame the wife. My wife scares me more.
Yeah. That's duh.
My son's figured it out now. He has started doing that joke as well.
My daughter has, I didn't think this would catch on as quick as it did, but she started doing, "Hey, guess what? Chicken butt."
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And she, like, her and my wife were sitting on the couch the other day, and she, like, my wife had never heard her say it. And she's like, "Hey, mommy." And she's like, "What?" "Chicken butt." And she just died laughing.
I did not hear my son tell my daughter that joke. I just know that he did it because my daughter came into the kitchen where I was doing dishes and looks at me and goes, "Daddy, why butt chicken?"
It feels like a very different phrase.
Butt chicken.
But I instantly knew that was my son doing the joke.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
So
she's 2. She doesn't understand.
Just remember that as far as preparing for parenthood, like every family's journey is different. So the tips that we gave you, kind of just adapt them to your own. Your own circumstances. Parenthood can be a remarkable adventure, and just remember that, as you go along, as your child is learning and growing, as a parent, so should you. And I think that's about as dad as it gets.
Booyah!
If you enjoyed this episode, give us a rate and review. Your feedback fuels us and helps us reach more parents and make a positive impact on their lives. Are you looking for a daily dose of dad jokes? Follow us on Instagram @AsDadAsItGetsPod. There you can find the latest dad jokes and keep up with the latest news and updates about our podcast. Also, do you have a parenting question or do you want to spotlight a dad? Reach out to us by email @AsDadAsItGets@gmail.com.